And it would not be the Tucson Gem Show without some U.S. mine finds like the Kingman mine right out of Arizona. We've got a wonderful collection for you featuring fancy carved hearts done in Kingman Turquoise. We've got a necklace. We have a matching pair of earrings. And if you think a heart shape is easy to cut in turquoise, think again. Oh, the earrings are gone? Okay, earrings are sold out. Congratulations. Well, let's go to the necklace and we'll give it to you for a wonderful one-day only price. And I love this design because it comes with the chain and then you have this beautiful pendant that's kind of done in this kind of cool geometric design with the heart in the middle.
And you know, it's spectacular, but this very contemporary. I didn't do this design. You can tell it's really too, not me, what I do on a design, very contemporary, very unique, very modern. This is one of our artists who's amazing. It actually sells designs to really high-end galleries privately. They do a lot of work on the side for private galleries. And they're well known. I'm not going to mention their name because then they want more money. So I will tell you though, this is a very unique look. It's a great, the thing that makes this, not only this sterling silver work, not only the setting, but the material. Here again, this is Kingman. This material is at least 7 years old that I've had it in my collection. I haven't bought any Kingman probably in about 7 years, 5 to 7 years. I haven't gotten any of the new material. They're producing amazing material. They're producing material just like this. The only difference is the cost of the material has gone up 300 to 500% in most cases. And something that I used to be able, these aren't the prices, but let's just say something that I used to pay $10 for, right? That same thing, that same rough, and I never did pay $10. It's a lot more than that. Let's just say $10 for simplicity of math. So if I paid $10 for it, now that same exact material is anywhere from $30 to $50 for that exact same material. And the reason is it's supply and demand. There is a huge demand for Kingman Turquoise, American turquoise. It's right now, as far as I know, there are small deposits, American mines in turquoise. The Kingman, the Mineral Park mine, is the only one that I'm aware of that is actually really operating full time, and that they're actually producing material. So I mean, it's a full swing operation. They've shut the copper mine, is shut down, the moly mine is shut down, and actually they're the only ones really actively mining as far as I know. I know they're still leaching copper, but it's become, people are coming in, and what the market is, it's not just the jewelry market. In fact, the jewelry market, I would say, is probably the lower end of their market. I can't speak for them. I'm just giving you knowledge of things that I kind of know. But I think that really what's driving this business is you have people that are buying this as a commodity. This particular turquoise, and it's the U.S. turquoise. It is the turquoise. It's the color that they're buying. It's the quality that they're buying from this mine. But it's just going up. And you know, if you think about it, like with me, I invest on the stock market. I guarantee you none of my stocks have done as good as turquoise. You know, if you look at what I have in stock, if I just took, and I don't have very much of it, I wish I did, because, you know, but I literally, really honestly, I could sell the rough material that I have now that went into making this pendant for more than what we're probably selling the finished product.
I mean, it's under $100.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
Kind of mind-blowing.
The turquoise, the rough turquoise is more expensive than what, I'm just not charging you for that. When I figured this, and I figured the cost of this, and I figured the price of this, I kept it at what was fair, originally what I paid for it, right? Which was at the price that I could afford to do it for that price.
We are getting very limited, so let me give you a quick update. Again, anything and everything Kingman Mine during our Tucson Gem event has been very popular. We have fewer than 500 of these to go around. To get Kingman Mine Turquoise under $100 on a beautiful sterling silver chain, with this kind of fresh, modern, sort of designer gallery look. I think it's fresh, I think it's bold. The heart design, it's the most popular design in all of jewelry, so you've got a wonderful gift. You know, set that aside. Mother's Day, graduations, a special spring occasion that you want to celebrate and recognize somebody. I think you're going to be so pleased that you added that to your collection. Kingman Turquoise. It's going to be yours, one of the few that's being